So Bitcoin just set the record for its largest weekly price drop in history. We dropped over $13,500 on the weekly candle. Now, what is next for Bitcoin and what are the key levels that you should be looking at? In today's video, we'll be going over exactly that, and we'll also be talking about the most important news items that you need to be aware of as it pertains to trading. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. So as you can see here, the weekly candle dropped exactly by $13,582. Massive red candle. Now, percentage-wise, it's not the largest drop in Bitcoin's history, but in terms of the dollar value, yes. What does this mean, and can we move lower? Look, we've been talking about this on the channel over and over again. Bitcoin is now into some very key levels, and one of those key levels was previously right around the 87K level, and we broke down from that level, holding the 200-day moving average as support. Now we have broken below that 200-day moving average, and as we can see, it's currently holding as resistance. This is of course the daily chart. Bitcoin is sitting right around $83,000, and the 200-day moving average is right around $83,400. If we take a look at the smaller time frames here, what do you see? Every single time that we've been tapping into this 200-day moving average, it has acted as resistance. So the more that this blue line acts as resistance, the more and more confident I would be in my Bitcoin short, targeting at the bare minimum all the way down to $78,000. Now, as I've been saying, I personally think that we can tap into lower levels than that. But if you are to execute a short here, once we get the confirmation that this 200-day moving average is indeed resistance, that would be my main target, around 78K. As always, if you're looking to trade the price action that I'm discussing on the channel, make sure to click the first link in my description down below. It will bring you directly to weeks where you can see you have a 50% deposit bonus. That means that if you are to deposit $2,000, you get $1,000 back for trading purposes. So if you enjoy those kinds of bonuses and you like trading the Bitcoin price action, make sure to sign up. It's the first link in my description down below. Now back to the Bitcoin chart. That is the key level that I'm looking at. And for me at the very moment, there is no reason to be focusing on any other levels. As you've come to realize on this channel, I like to trade in the most simple way possible. Now, taking a look at Bitcoin, what we can see here is that, first of all, Michael Saylor just said that he wants to raise up to $21 billion additional dollars to purchase some more Bitcoins. So this is definitely something that you need to be aware of, because usually when Michael Saylor tries to borrow money, it happens very fast and he buys the Bitcoin very quickly as well. Just make sure to keep that in your mind while you're trading. Now here's the thing. As you know by now, I have been favoring lower levels for Bitcoin before we can put in a new all-time high. But this metric would suggest that there is a ton of liquidity way higher than where we currently are. As we can see on this chart, all the way up here, there is around $6 billion in liquidations right below the 93K level. So right now, it's hard to imagine how Bitcoin could pump all the way up to this level, but this is the thing. The market makers like to operate in this fashion and grab all of the liquidity before Bitcoin decides its next move. Now, it's very tricky for me to tell you that we will certainly go to these levels just because of the liquidity there, but we can't ignore the fact that there is so much liquidity. So when you're trading this price action, you need to be aware of this and you need to be very careful, because the market makers can push the price of Bitcoin much higher before we potentially resort to the downside. The next thing that I want you to consider here is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. What we can see here is that we are now below the first peak in 2024. The week before got bought up nicely, but this recent weekly candle doesn't look pretty. We definitely don't want to see too many weekly closes here. Otherwise, Bitcoin risks to go much lower. What we would actually want to see now is that this trades back above the $840 billion region to get some momentum going again. For now, we're sitting at support technically, but it's at a must-hold level in the short to medium term. Now, I completely agree with this assessment. It's a very important level, and if we can't break above this level in the next few weeks, it will not be looking pretty for Bitcoin. I hate to repeat myself on the channel and sound bearish, because ultimately I really just want to be a bull, but I do think that Bitcoin can go lower, and this could provide some very solid spot buying opportunities for not just Bitcoin, but for other cryptocurrencies ahead of the monetary policy shift. And part of this thesis ties into the fact that I think that Trump is doing his best to force the Fed's hand. So as inflation remains sticky, he is trying to reduce it by spooking the markets to ultimately slow down the economy. Companies will try to avoid taking unnecessary risks with all of the recent uncertainty, especially with all of the tariffs going around. They will likely hire less, and as a result, the unemployment rate could actually increase. Now, this means that we should potentially be expecting a lot of pain in the short term for risk assets and, of course, crypto. This could actually last quite a few months. All you need to do right now is survive before we thrive. And as we're surviving, as you know, we're trading the short-term price action of Bitcoin on weeks. But this also ties into my thesis that the 200-day moving average will continue to act as resistance for Bitcoin. I really think that this will be the case. Now, when it's time to flip bullish, believe me, I will be flipping bullish. But for now, it just sucks that almost every video that I have has a little bit of a negative connotation to it because I have been vocally bearish. The next thing that I want to show you, though, that kind of contradicts all of this is when I run polls on Twitter. Now, maybe it's just because you guys are following me on Twitter and you agree with what I've been saying on the channel in recent weeks. But when I asked what comes for Bitcoin this week, most of you actually voted for 75K ahead of 85K. And as we can see right now, Bitcoin is just sitting at 83K. And as you know, 85K is much closer than 75K. So this worries me a little bit that a lot of people are actually bearish. Keep in mind, there's only been over 100 votes on this poll. So perhaps this isn't a huge sample size. Let's see what happens. But usually when I'm trading Bitcoin, I like it when I'm going against the herd. And right now it seems that being bearish is actually joining the herd. Not something I like. Oh, and this was a pretty funny tweet that I found in the past, and it's Donald Trump actually talking about cryptocurrencies. You can see he posted this on July 12th, 2019. I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. So it's definitely interesting to see his change in stance. And another thing I wanted to show you is that the insider whale who made $7.5 million longing and shorting the Trump executive order pump and dump is now shorting again, targeting the 70 to 74K region. So if this guy truly is an insider and he does have information that we don't necessarily have, perhaps we could be revisiting these levels as well. And there's only two more charts in this video that I really wanted to show you. An update on ETH against Bitcoin. The reason being is because when ETH Bitcoin is performing well, it's usually a sign of market strength. And as we can see here, we are trying to hold the 0.025 level as support. Not sure if this will hold, but ultimately, this is what you want to look for altcoins to start outperforming and for the market to start reversing course. And just to summarize a little bit, a pretty good signal for overall market strength would be ETH Bitcoin going up without the market nuking within 24 hours afterwards. And this is something which we've not seen since early November post-elections. Once this dynamic changes, I will make sure that you're aware because it's usually small things like this that can predict a shift in the crypto market. Now, the last thing that I want to show you, which we haven't touched on in a while, is actually USDT dominance. And you can see that usually when USDT dominance starts plummeting, that is when we start to see a top for the Bitcoin price. We can see here that March 2024, the 74K top actually came right at this trend line. And if we zoom out, this is actually the monthly chart. So we can see that this has been holding for quite a while, all the way back into 2017. So I would say that this is a pretty reliable trend line. So as soon as we hit this trend line in March of 2024, it was the local top right around 74K. And you can see that Bitcoin dominance started exploding to the upside. When we came back down and broke this trend line once again, I was starting to get even more bullish. But what happened was that the 4% level started acting as support once again for USDT dominance. This is not something that we wanted to see, and it actually coincided with the 109K top right around Trump's inauguration. That is exactly what happened. And now you can see that we've not only held the 4% level as support, but we have also held this trend line as support once again. And we're sitting pretty right around 5.3%, which is not positive for Bitcoin. Usually when this finds a top, that is when the crypto prices can start increasing once again. But if we are to break this high once again and we start testing these levels above here, it will certainly not be pretty for crypto. But this level over here could align with the 73K bottom that I've been discussing on the channel for months now. And that sums up today's quick video. As per usual, if you're looking to trade this price action and potentially short the market as I've been doing, you can join me on weeks with the first link in my description down below. You get that 50% deposit bonus, and it just takes an email and a password to sign up. Very simple. Overall, I'm still leaning bearish on Bitcoin, and we'll have to see what the equity market is doing this week to evaluate how it can also affect the crypto prices. Now, if we can hold the 200-day moving average as support after breaking above it, that would ultimately be positive for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. But for now, it's acting as resistance. Keep your eyes on that one key level as it pertains to trading, and I'll make sure to keep you updated in tomorrow's video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.